Yeah, this is Point Black. Coming hard and off the car. Coming with the flow of the barrel. And coming with that heat from the motherfucking street. This is PBN Point Black National News. The late and the great edition and the ghetto edition as well. Because this is what we must do. At all times. You know what I'm saying? At all times. You know? Today we're starting off with this one right here, as we can see. You know what I'm saying? As the great Donald J. Trump raises the fist. That's right, Trump. No matter if it's a white boy, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? He's strong. And he's strong for the cause. You know what I'm saying? It could have been a black man in Trump's place. It still would have been the same thing. Or anybody that have the interest of the United States to be in the first of hand in their decisions to do the right thing by the United States citizens, the true born American in itself, whether coming from foreign or abroad. You know what I'm saying? Like Trump, we must raise the fist. You know what I'm saying? Now, as we see the words speak for themselves, we will not bend for no one. It doesn't matter what the schematical garbage like Netanyahu, is doing with his club nut. But at the same time, we will not bend. And that's a true saying when it comes to the American citizens, the true born people who born here, coming from foreign or abroad, and understand what that means. We will not break. And as you can see, they're trying to do that. What proved that was COVID-19. We must not break. And we must not let others break us. This is not the American spirit, nor is it the American way. Many have chosen to call the American spirit or the American way what they want to call it, and then use the word democracy as to changing the will of the people to go in only one direction. We must not break. We will never, never back down, all the threats that are created by the beast in which Trump is fighting against. We must not let them make us back down. Now, what we see during COVID-19, though, with the quarantine, the mandates, the threat, the government officials using mandates and quarantine as a threat against the people, having law enforcement go out to people's party and were arresting them, when not even those officers that arrested those people could prove COVID-19 in its fullness. So the schematical garbage was something to use to back the people down. But as you can see here, we will never back down. And we will never, ever surrender. This is the American spirit. This is the will of the people. This is what many Americans, even prior to even criminal wars that were brought upon the land, one thing stood strong in all of it in the end is we don't never surrender. So all you people out there doing this, doing that, saying this, saying that, it's really not saying much to me. Unless you are speaking of these principles before you that you see here, then what kind of American really are you? Because this is not a Joe Biden American. None of it here. Because evil is never going to back down. They have to be put down. So the same values in which Trump is talking about right here in this message is not the same as the creepy Biden administration. Let's just get that straight. It's highly important that we understand that. These principles that you see before you is what we call Americans, whether home or abroad. So for Biden to be sending troops, and I hope it's on a peace overstanding, to the Gaza Strip, and do not have these principles here based on what your job is to do as the United States. Many people, over the many years of garbage that was allowed based on the crimes against humanity itself, has been allowed to flourish. My man Coolio made a good statement before he left us and passed on to higher heights. The great Coolio. Understand sometimes people have to do what they have to do in order to survive. I hate that they go to the evil side to do it. I'm not saying that's what Coolio did, and I don't want nobody to take my words out of context. But Coolio was right. It seems like, I forgot how he put the phrase, but what he was trying to say in more ways than one, in my ideology of it, is that he was saying that good is supposed to win. But right about now, it seems like evil is winning like a motherfucker. These are the words, in my phrase, of the words that he said that are true. So if we don't understand these principles that before us right here, then we know that you have banned it. We know you will break, and we will never allow that to happen by you making us back down. We will never ever surrender just because you say so. We must stand behind anyone that is fighting for the right of the United States citizens to have a common and free and fair life based on all in the United States, home and abroad. Now, just thought I had to get that out. Now we're looking at, you know what I'm saying, the Israel conflict that's still going on, which should have been rectified a long time ago under a ceasefire. The ceasefire should have happened minutes ago. Same thing in Ukraine. This is pre-Joe Biden again, work of evil that he's been working on for over 75 plus years or whatever of his career, because he's always been in government along with the oligarchs and the rest of the people who he affiliated with, and he's doing the job of their work, and that's why they cheated him in there. I told you at the beginning. They cheated him in so he can go along with what we saw took place with COVID-19 in all ways. in all ways, as we see. You know what I'm saying? As we see. So we're now looking at, in more ways than one, what is going on that we must see a ceasefire and we must see a cleaning up in Africa and Egypt and our mother's land and father's land in all ways. You know what I'm saying? We must see that. Let's just be honest. Because we have seen too much garbage on this planet in all ways. You know what I'm saying? So now we're seeing where we have a conflict of interest. And that interest needs to be addressed in all ways. So right now we're looking at Netanyahu's refusal in all ways to come to some kind of agreement of a two-state situation. Now, Netanyahu doesn't have the right to tell anybody about refusal to agree to a two-state situation. This is highly important to understand. You know what I'm saying? So, when we look at this is what we see. Now, we see Netanyahu, in more ways than one, is trying to say that, in other words, he's defying Biden over the Palestinian state. You know what I'm saying? This is coming off the Sidon BBC. You know what I'm saying? Coming in by my man, Mark Lewin. You know what I'm saying? January 1st, January 21st, 2004, at 19, you know what I'm saying, GMT, you know what I'm saying, updated the 21st, January 2024, at 9:00 coming off the BBC. But we see here where, in other words, you know what I'm saying, we see here where Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu, you know what I'm saying, in more ways than one, Netanyahu in more ways than one, you know what I'm saying, the so-called minister, you know what I'm saying, Benjamin Knucklehead Lord Nut Netanyahu, has again rejected the idea of creating a Palestinian state. Now, the question would be that Netanyahu knows he's an invader of Egypt. He has no right or no ground to stand on to tell the Palestinian people, who probably did the same thing and moved in there, not to have a state. First of all, Israel should never be a state because you're a creation and an invasion. So to tell someone else who's been there before you, when you moved into the spot, that now you're refusing to acknowledge the fact that both of y'all, but one of y'all, have true history there over time. The other doesn't. It is using religion psychology and reverse psychology and all type of schematical garbage to say you have a right to do so. This is what he's saying. But this is not true. The Palestinian people have been there before there was an Israel. Israel was created by Biden in his years of his time in government. And many politicians have went right along with this massacre and this carnage and sit there and did absolutely nothing about it, thinking that no one paid attention due to the fact of scriptural books. That's not going to work, and it never has. The injustice that we saw brought upon the Palestinian people and many people within that region, including the original people, the Africans, have shown proof of your garbage across the planet for many, many years. Now, when we look at Netanyahu, his comments came hours after a phone call with the U.S. cheap mass, part of Netanyahu network to me, you know what I'm saying, creepy ass Joe Biden. After which the U.S. leader, the so-called leader, indicated Mr. Netanyahu may still accept the idea. Who gave him the right to have to make that choice? Matter of fact, Israel should not have been the capital of that region. The capital of that region is Egypt. But the Palestinian people deserve the right for being there those many long years to have the right to be the capital in its first place. That's number one. Netanyahu and the so-called invasion group of people calling themselves Israel should have not had that region or wherever they sit at in that region and say it's the capital. This is a criminal act all in itself on the land of Africa. But now that we have this situation where Mr. Netanyahu remarks appears to be deepened, you know what I'm saying, has been deepened, a public divide in the U.S. It should be a public divide all over the world we're talking about. And it should have been the same way for black people as well. Because when we look at Netanyahu's behavior, we see the same behavior as the Dutch did in South Africa. What's the difference? Long live the great Martin Toon, Stephen Biko. Long live a glorious soldier. You know what I'm saying? But when we look at President Botha and the Dutch moving into South Africa and thinking about South Africa as if it's their own, and then prosecuting the original people of the land that had been there before them, hundreds of thousands of years before them, how dare Botha and the Dutch go in there and do such a thing and think that you were going to just slide out? But we remember the apartheid that took place in South Africa due to the Dutch interference in South Africa to begin with. And that's what caused the great Nelson Mandela, you know what I'm saying, later on turned out to be some of the, I hate to say it, traitor, and Winnie Mandela. And the Dutch stayed in South Africa for years, beating the people, killing the people, up on TV looking like like the creepy Joe Biden looked like with a suit on and giving speeches and shit, as if as if the Dutch belonged there, had belonged in South Africa. And any European influence in South Africa at this time must be removed. South Africa must be run by South Africans, period. I don't care what Nelson Mandela said or did. That has nothing to do with what should be going on now into the prosperity of South African people, Africa as a whole. Now, when we look at President Botha and what they did in South Africa, and then were driven out, remember the Dutch had relinquished power and rolled on, but they should have never had that type of power to begin with, because that was an atrocity and a criminal act in itself. And for some reason, because it's in Africa and over here in America, people acting as if like they don't know what's going on across the world, it was able to flourish. But many seen it, many spoke out about it, many saw it on television, many saw many things about it. This is the same thing Netanyahu and the creepy Joe Biden have done to the Gaza Strip. Netanyahu and it do not belong there. I wish for some reason they can prove this holiness in which they're talking about. Because last time I remember, you dug up a mess. But we see where the U.S. believes a Palestine state along, no, I believe the Palestine state should have been there and Israel should have been, if they came in, along with Palestine. You know what I'm saying? Along, talking about along Israel. Yeah. Right, yeah, take the Ra out. You know what I'm saying? That's my ancestor shit. You know what I'm saying? Known as a two-state solution is vital for terms stability. Well, I got news for you. You moved in and invade and caused the instability. And I don't care who don't like what I say. You know, you have many people, not just black people, but a lot of black people, who might not like what I say. But we have to start coming to some kind of long-term stability amongst our community in itself. You cannot continue down the same road. You know what I'm saying? In itself. But we see the house, you know what I'm saying, acknowledge, you know what I'm saying, this week that the U.S. and Israel government clearly sees things differently. Oh, yes, they do. Because they created that to have a control over the region of that particular region. It's a strategic region, you know what I'm saying? And if you want to find out more about it, go over to the General Sarah Salt City, you know what I'm saying, the general, and he'll explain the strategy that you need to understand, especially when it comes to the Nile. This is why you see the Ethiopians is catching fire from the Eritreans and all kinds of other people coming into Ethiopia, you know what I'm saying, and always want to control Ethiopia and even control that river that you call the Nile. And the Ottoman Turks and the so-called invaders call themselves Israelis or Israel or whatever they want to call it, moving into the region, and whenever Ethiopia threatens to cut off the water supply or do anything to the water or the Nile River water that's running from Ethiopia down, they attack the Ethiopians. You know what I'm saying? Same in Sudan, same in Sudan. But speaking to reporters after two leaders, you know what I'm saying, held a call for the first time in almost a month. They should have been called a long time ago. How many Palestinians died in that process of bullshitical time? So that tells you right there that the Queen Joe Biden is a part of this orchestration. In all ways, he's sending troops from Jersey over there. He sent warships, and they're heavily armed and, with military might from probably even the British and many others. Because the British helped to create it along with Pete Joe Biden talking about there's a need to create an Israel. Remember that statement? Crooked. But we see dumbass Pete Joe Biden insists a two-state solution was still possible. It should have been possible already. You're bullshitting. You and Netanyahu. You're still talking stupid shit. There are a number of types of two states solution. No, there is only one, and that is get the fuck along, kill it with the war shit, stop the war, stop any fighting, create a ceasefire, and come to some type of agreement because you are both still there. And that's a fact. Because the people that you see there invaded there. That goes for Iraq, Iran, and all the different Eurocentric people that you see. That's not the original people of the land. Let's just be honest. You thought by removing the Africans many years ago, probably even going back to the 1900s, who knows? Somewhere along the line, because your invasion was already on for many, many years, even going back to Napoleon and his garbage, Constantine and their garbage. You know what I'm saying? Your invasion into Egypt has always been not Israel. Israel was not even thought about or there. That's a lie. There was no Israel talked about in those days. There was no such thing. What you calling these different names, Jerusalem, all this and that, these different and all this stuff, that's Egypt. People better get their geographics together and realize the territory that spread beyond just where you see those pyramids are in Giza with the Egyptians and the race that was there before them, and many other groups that were there before them, going back centuries and years, dynastic periods, probably 18 or 19 of them in itself. So we have to start looking at this. Yeah, so we got to start looking at this in itself. Hold on one minute, people. Because a lot of people want to try to make up stuff knowing that the preparations of what they did not happen in just one time. You know what I'm saying? It had to happen over the many, many years. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So we know for well that it is so. Sorry about that. But a lot of people want to try to make excuses as to, the creation of this invasion. And they want to biblicalize it in order that the psyche of the mind of the people who we call saved soul, because they only their soul saved. We got all their saved soul business that I don't follow, you know what I'm saying, anymore, you know what I'm saying, because of understanding the scientific understanding of many things. One must look into research, but at the same time, when we look at the whole aspect of this, many people want to create their mind frame as to what they think it should be and how this is this and this is that. You know what I'm saying? Even when you look at the same thing, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? There, he's talking about two types of two-state solution. You need to come to some type of agreement and cut the bullshit out and cease finally the killing and the murder of the Palestinian people and African people in Sudan and Ethiopia as well, and anywhere in Africa. You've been doing this, you, the British, the French, the United Kingdom, you know what I'm saying, all the transatlantic nations especially, and probably many of the NATO nations, you know what I'm saying, engage in genocide on African people. And I don't know where Americans get this superiority complex in their mentality when there is none. Everybody's the same in itself now because of where you live and what you go through as a people in this land to survive. But when you try to make this out to be some biblical shit, it doesn't make sense. Do it.